And he kept that subject alive, and I feel that's what I'm doing. I'm following this guy's trail, or his. I'm trying to walk in his footprints. So I think this is a real phenomenon, and I'm very interested in it, and I've always been interested in it. I was interested before I went into the Army. I didn't have any real experiences in the Army with UFOs. I haven't had any real experience with UFOs. I've seen one or two things that was strange, and I couldn't figure out what they were, and I still can't. But it's not like a lot of people's sightings, which have good, solid information in it. You can do things with it.
When he took my report personally, I don't remember him writing anything down, because I remember him listening intent in the back of the plane. But he already had my report in, because I'd sent in a report in writing. So that would be in his 82 to 85 boxes, or 52 to 1985 boxes. Now, did Willie Smith have those? Those are the famous 4 boxes that had the bulk of the material of the 1960s. And then I was, he knew I was a contactee, and then the government, of course, proved it in their records. But I think that's how he found me, flying on the plane from Lowry Air Force Base to Great Lakes, Illinois. And you asked me if that was before his operation. So he didn't mention an operation. So I was just a young kid. I mean, I was in and out of, I was 33, and I was a rehire back into the government. But I was a private investigator, then a legal investigator, before I was a government investigator. So by the time he got me, they already trained me in and out of country in the European theater in Africa. And then he got me at my second rehire before I went to Fort Hood for the Army S2 Division, which I didn't have any training, I didn't think, in the Army, but the Air Force, they were going to send me to Antarctica. But thank God they chose to send me to Great Lakes, which I would have frozen to death. So tell me about the 52 to 85 4 boxes. Do you have those? And can you tell me what you're talking about, his operation? Did you know Willie Smith? 52 to 85. 52
to 80 to 85, you say?
Yes, those are
4
the
boxes.
4.
No. Filing cabinets. 20 filing cabinets. How's that?
Wow.
Okay.
Boy, I'm just. Okay,
let me put it this way. I am counting what Rodiger has at his house plus what I have here. That's at least 20, 25 filing cabinets.
My goodness. Well, the university
you're talking about 4 boxes. Heineck left CUFOS. He said he took 1,000 cases with him that he thought were very good. He didn't take any 4 boxes. He took 1,000 cases with him. But CUFOS has 16 filing cabinets. Rodiger's got 4 at his house. So that's 20 right there. I've got I've got 10 filing cabinets here, plus I got boxes and boxes of papers here.
Well,
and I've got I'll tell you what, 4 rooms in my house are filled with UFO stuff, and then I've got a large storage locker. So the amount of UFO stuff in CUFOS and what I've got here is just huge. I don't double it, but I think Greenwood, with the two of us, we double what CUFOS has.
Well, we're going to have to get with these universities because they're putting on the digital age of cyberspace on the Internet what the universities share. And apparently a lot of this is wrong information already in the digital age. So trash in, trash out, folks. So we're putting a lot of trust into people like Jan Aldrich with CUFOS, and I was with CUFOS before I was with MUFON. And not that we have any loyalty, we're nonpartisan. It's not about politics or what's group what, because really I was talking to the people in the 70s, well, actually in the 60s at NASA. We were having meetings back then when they brought, I guess it was APRO before it was MUFON. Is that? So this is a history, folks, of different groups, and Jan's been tracking it. I was born in 1951, December 26, 1951. So I track with the 52 to present with Jan Aldrich. And it was actually Dr. Bruce Maccabee in 2014 that asked me to contact Jan. And it took me, and Jan Harzan with MUFON, when he would come on my radio show, he asked me if I knew Jan Aldrich. But I don't know Jan, but I know of his work because of Don Berliner and Stanton Friedman and Dr. Bruce Maccabee, because they were all three investigators. J. Allen Hynek, of course, is the most famous. Then I would say Stanton Friedman. But Dr. Bruce Maccabee is world-renowned. But Jan Aldrich in the physical business is more of the actual ufologist that's practicing. How are we going to describe these for our UFO Association? Because you're doing hard labor scanning, which in the military would be beneath you, because that's what I did. So a GS5 level, and you were at a GS9 or a E9 at least, right? In the Army, what would that be called? Or were you an officer?
No, I was an NCO. I was a master sergeant when I got out.
And isn't that as high as you can go?
No, sergeant major.
Oh, okay. Well, my husband was a master, but he wasn't a sergeant, because that was really, really hard. And you know how you go before. It'd be good knowledge. I wish we had lots and lots of time. But maybe we'll have a few more of these monthly reports before you pass in between your scanning. But, folks, there's so much of the details that some people find interesting. And going before to get your rank even in the military is so interesting, because you'd have to be reading newspapers. They ask weird questions, which I'm sure Jan knows, because he made it to the top almost. There was one more level. That was the hardest ever. And you had to be more than career. I don't know how they make it at the E9. Now, was that Robert O'Dean, that Terry Cassidy and Paula Harris and all those people, the women in ufology talk about, because they went to all the UFO, International UFO Congress with, you know what I'm talking about. I never went to any of those. I've never been to a UFO conference. But you know who I'm talking about, Robert O'Dean. Was he an E9?
Yeah, he was an E9.
Okay, so, but you didn't meet him because you didn't
I
go
met
to those...
him, yes.
Oh, you met him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell us about that, because he's a famous name that was brought up with Jan, which you know the other Jan of Jan Airlines, me and Jan, in the intelligence world with the Gateway and the Stargates, the portals. Jan Lessin and me do the Stargate and the Monroe Institute, 1983, Fort Meade, and Ingo Swann kind of stories. But now Jan that's here, he didn't work in any of that intelligence or Stargate, but the IUFO Congress has it broke up into what they call nuts and bolts, which Jan Aldrich would be, and people like Janet Lessin that would be more Kathy Martin, psychic therapy, talk to the ET contactees. They broke them up. But did you go to any of those? Because you met Bob. So we need to know if you went to any of these for the record, any of these conferences. And number two, where did you meet Robert O. Dean, E9?
I met him at Roswell, at the Roswell Museum. George Fawcett's materials were being transferred to the Roswell Museum. So George and I we hadn't been friends really, but we knew each other and we corresponded. And he had a list of books he wanted to give to Roswell, to the museum. And so there's about $500 worth of books that he wanted that were quite rare. And so I was able to get a lot of those for him. And so I said, Lauren Gross was still writing his UFO history series at that time. And Wendy Connors was doing a lot of work with photographs, recording tapes, videos, and things like that. She was transferring them to other media, from. And so I asked George. I said, "Hey, can we look at this stuff before you send it out?" And he said, "It's already on its way. It's in the trucks. It's being unloaded as we're talking." And he said, "I'll send you a letter to the head of the Roswell Museum and asking that my 3 friends can have complete access to all the files." And so we went there. We each took a copier with us, because this was back in the 90s. Digital stuff hadn't been thought of yet, really. And we spent about 3 weeks there making copies of stuff, things that Lauren wanted to put in his books and things that I was interested in. And Wendy took a lot of stuff that was on cassettes and took them home and put them on CDs and took them back to the museum. So they had them on CDs then, which is the big deal then. So, and she changed over. I think we got her every kind of recording machine, sound recording machine that had ever been invented, including wire recorders. So she could take almost anything and put it on a CD. And that was the idea. She took a bunch of Fawcett's recordings and converted them into CD. So that was when I was there. Dean stopped by the museum, and he told, I guess he was there to see Don Schmidt too. The Schmidt was there when I was there, and he was doing a television show. So
that's Don Schmidt, and
yeah.
What did he represent? Arizona?
Who?
Don Schmidt.
No, he was just stopping by. He was just stopping by to see the progress of the museum, that's all.
Oh, okay.
And he also had an appointment to do a TV show there.
Okay, so are we talking about Donald R. Schmidt, the author?
Yeah, who else are we talking about? Come on.
Well, I've got to do I've got to do the grunt work for you, because you're way up there with all these fancy people. I'm down here doing your grunt work at the oral level for you here. All right, so we're talking about Cover Up at Roswell by Donald R. Schmidt, folks. Or Cover Up, or let's see what else he wrote. Inside Area 51, The Children of Roswell, UFO Crash of Roswell. Now, did he write a book at all with anybody else famous?
Yeah,
'Cause
well,
he's been on